If you've ever felt like you have like 4,000 different thoughts floating around your brain at any one time and you feel like you are just literally paralyzed by the amount of stuff that is in your mental load, then this is the video for you, because over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to give you all the strategy that you need to clear that mental load, reprioritize, refocus, and ultimately move forwards, having complete clarity on exactly what you need to be doing so that you have more mental juice, more bandwidth to be able to put into your health and fitness and ultimately get better results. And I wanted to create this training from a conversation I had with a client. I was out walking Big Nev in the evening. I've got a black Labrador, Nev. And we were walking along and I was answering some client messages, and one of them's really struck me because she said, Jack, I literally feel like I've got 4,000 tabs open in my brain and I just can't see the wood through the trees. I'm like, it's stressing me out. I don't feel like I have enough focus to be able to prioritize the training side of things, and started stressing out. And sometimes, I don't know if you think the same, I come up with my best ideas when I'm out of the office, when I'm out of here. And it happened here. And I gave her some coaching, which I'm about to give you, which helped her really get clear on what she needed to be doing, helped expunge and catharsize all of those thoughts in her brain, which were jumbling things up, feel calmer. And ultimately, like, she messaged me a couple of hours later and be like, that 2-minute exercise has just given me all the space. I feel so much calmer, so much more back on track. And that's why I wanted to create this video, to give this to you. Now, the problem is, especially when you're juggling a lot of different plates and you have a career and you have kids and you got a partner, you got other stuff, you're trying to focus on your health and fitness, sometimes it can just clog up and up. And ultimately, like, we can only access a certain amount of our conscious brain. The rest just gets chucked back into our unconscious brain, which we can't actually access, but it still has a physical result. It can still have a nervous system reaction where it starts releasing more and more cortisol, more and more adrenaline, norepinephrine, carbs into your system. And our ability to actually identify what's important and what's not important massively diminishes. So when you are in a nice, calm, chill state, you can actually process a shit ton of information. You're very, very effective. When you're in a really stressed out state and your shoulders are up and you're amped up, you're emotionally or sensitive to sunlight, all of that jazz, our ability to actually process and think through our decisions massively, drastically reduces. And all this does is it ends up topping up all of these thoughts, where there's going to be some which are super important that you need to address immediately. There's going to be some which are just less important that don't really factor in. There's going to be some in the middle. They all kind of get jumbled into this big, overwhelming like noise in your brain. And it just leads to overwhelm, it leads to procrastination, it leads to inconsistency, it leads to just kind of putting everything on pause. And this is something that I see with our clients very, 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 very often, which is where sometimes just having some direction in that is really important. Because ultimately, if you are trying to drive things forward in your own life, you're trying to become more successful, you're trying to become happier, you're trying to become healthier, you're not a lazy person. Your brain is overloaded with this information, with this smorgasbord of stuff that you can't actually see the wood through the trees. You can't prioritize the important things that actually move the needle forwards. So what we need to do is we need to strip out all that noise so that we can get some clarity behind us about this is what we need to focus on, because this is what actually moves the needle. Step 1 is get out of your head. Step 2, prioritize what matters. Step 3, get a plan in place. Okay, so you're going to need a notebook for this. So if you don't have one, go grab one, because in the next 2 minutes, we're going to strip out all that noise through your head. So I want you to grab a notebook. Right at the top, like your name's mental load, or everything that's in my brain right now, or all the shit that's in my head. And what we're going to do is we're going to brain dump it. So you're going to grab a clock, set a timer for 2 minutes. Okay, and the timer is very, very important, because without that, your brain will just start creating stuff, like my wife did the other day where we did this exercise, and she came back and said, I actually feel like I've just created more stuff. Well, that's because she didn't have the time. So set that 2-minute timer in place, and then in that 2 minutes, I challenge you to not stop bullet pointing stuff. Okay, so everything that is in your brain with no filter is going to get out onto paper. Okay, and by doing that, all of that gunk in your unconscious brain that's slowing everything down is going to get out into the conscious part of your brain where you can actually access it. Okay, it just unclogs that mental CPU. Okay, so for 2 minutes, challenge yourself. Don't stop bullet pointing potential things that could be in your brain. Once we have that, we need to start sorting things out. We're going to sort them into big rock thoughts, medium rock thoughts, small rock thoughts. So your big rock thoughts is basically anything which is super important. Either you have to fix it because it's going to make you happier, you have to fix it because it's going to make you healthier, you have to fix it because it's going to make you wealthier, or it's just super important. It's life admin that's just blocking the way. Right? So we sort that into health stuff, relationship stuff, work priorities, money stuff, or super important life admin. Okay. After that is our medium rock thought. So these are the things that it's important. You have to fix it. It probably still needs a lot of input from you, but ultimately, the world's not going to burn down if you don't do it immediately. Okay. So it's important. It's not urgent. It can wait a little bit, but it probably still needs a little bit of input for you. And then our small rock thoughts is anything that doesn't actually move the needle. Like, it doesn't make you happier. It doesn't make you healthier. It's kind of like the annoying stuff that you kind of feel like you need to do, but it's not really important. And then we're going to deal with all of them. All right. So our small rock thoughts, the ones that you've already identified, aren't actually important. They don't really move the needle in any respect. They're just kind of the extra stuff. We either delete it, give yourself permission to just not deal with it, right? Because we know we've already identified it doesn't actually matter, okay? Or you delegate it, which can be quite difficult in some respects, especially if you feel that need for control. My wife is like this. So you give it to someone. You say to your partner, hey, this is in my head right now. I need you to take care of it. There you go. Crack on. And you delegate it to someone. You either hire someone to do it, or you pass it on to a family member, or you pass it on to a colleague if you can do. But you put it onto someone else's to-do list, or we batch it. So we put a certain spot in place in your diary where we get all of these little small tasks and we crack them out one by one. We're not wasting time having something super important and then having to take yourself out of that flow state to do something unimportant where it's really difficult to get back into the mix. Our medium rock thoughts, we piece them in around the big ones because we have already identified they're not the most important, but they probably still need a look in from you. So they're the things that you piece in around the other really important things that you need to get done. And then the big rock thoughts, we strategize. So we break them into steps. We start piecing them into your diary through the week, and then we schedule in the first action. Because if we schedule in the big rocks thoughts, we feel that sense of momentum, that sense of action is naturally going to reduce your stress levels to the point where you're actually way more effective. So the medium rock thoughts, you're going to be able to deal with them way better because you've focused on that. So a couple of steps: 2-minute bullet journaling, get everything out on paper, classify into big rock thoughts, medium rock thoughts, small rock thoughts, then strategize. Put the big rock thoughts onto your diary now. Try and get at least one of those done every single day. Medium rock thoughts, piece it around the big rock thoughts so that you're chunking it into times. Small rock thoughts, delete, delegate, or chunk it in around that, because that way you can start building some momentum. You bring your stress levels down, you catharsize all that gunk that is in your brain. Your mental load goes from a 10 to a 2, and you actually have way more energy, mental bandwidth, focus to be able to put into the stuff that you need to be doing on a physical level to get the best possible results. And ultimately that just kind of snowballs and it starts getting really good. So if you want to go into a little bit deeper in this, in the mindset section of my ebook, Healthy as Fuck, we go into this in depth, into all of the stuff around the psychological side of change. The link is below. You can grab that completely for free. And if you liked that, share it with anyone that you like. I'm going to try and do at least one of these every single week, talking through all the stuff that most coaches don't talk about. So feel free to follow along.